SeaWorld Orlando just announced their new for 2023 roller coaster, which is Pipeline the Surf Coaster. It's been a while since I've done one of these analysis on a new roller coaster that's coming out just because, well, I don't know, I guess I haven't really had much to say, but with this new coaster coming here to SeaWorld, it's a new type of roller coaster. It looks very weird. I just have a few thoughts I thought it's worth sharing. So yeah, this new roller coaster, it's coming from the manufacturer Bolliger and Mabillard, or B&M for short, and this is called a surf coaster. Basically, it looks like a stand-up roller coaster, except the seats have built-in shock absorbers, is the best way what I'm going to call it. As the roller coaster is going through the course, the seats will bob up and down depending on the forces, so I mean it kind of looks pretty interesting, but yeah, let's go over the ride stats. Pipeline the Surf Coaster will have a height of 110 feet, track length of 2,950 feet, maximum speed of 60 miles per hour, and according to the animation on say 1 launch and 1 inversion. So yeah, the ride stats don't look super impressive, but that's really not the main appeal here to this roller coaster, and that's the surf coaster style, which is, as I said already, it's basically a new rendition of a stand-up roller coaster. B&M has not built a stand-up roller coaster in quite some time. It's been like about 20 years or so, which is pretty interesting that they're reviving this coaster type. As we all know, the stand-up roller coaster is kind of uncomfortable, so my opinion here, I mean, obviously we won't know until we ride the roller coaster, but with these new shock absorbers, I'm just gonna assume that this ride must be more comfortable. Now, I do keep calling them shock absorbers, but that's actually not really what they are. According to the ride design, they're basically there to mimic the flow of like riding on the waves, so you're gonna bob up and down. So let's take at the ride layout. It's actually very interesting and somewhat typical for B&M all at the same time. First, we have a launch. This is the second fully LSM launch roller coaster by B&M. And also, this isn't your typical launch either. It has that speed hill halfway through that launch, so that actually should provide some interesting airtime. So after the launch, the roller coaster goes into a giant turnaround, followed by like this weird banked airtime hill. After that, it goes into its only inversion, which is, as far as I can tell from the rendering, it has 1 inversion. It looks like a giant corkscrew. After the corkscrew, the roller coaster enters a turnaround and then it kind of stays low to the ground, doing some like smaller banked airtime hills. It does a lot of turns back and forth, which is actually very interesting for a B&M coaster. I think most of us were thinking this to be more like a typical stand-up coaster with a lot of inversions, or maybe even something similar to Kraken, which I think a lot of us were a little curious about this roller coaster because we're like, well, you already have Kraken, which has like 7 inversions, so why build another roller coaster that is going to have lots of inversions? Now that we've seen the full layout, we can actually tell that this ride only has 1 inversion, and it does a lot of different elements. In some ways, the ride layout kind of reminds me of Fury 325, which I know sounds a little crazy, but how that ride stays low to the ground, has a lot of banked turns. This roller coaster looks like it's going to be very interactive with the pathway below, so I'm going to have a lot of fun time standing around this coaster, shooting some good photos and videos. Basically, being so close to the park entrance, this is going to be a crowd pleaser, an eye catcher. Everybody's going to want to come over and check this roller coaster out because it just looks so unique. Now, as for the thrilling aspect of this roller coaster, I'm really kind of on the fence. There's a lot of potential here on this roller coaster. Obviously, we have the unique design with the surf coaster, the new rendition of a stand-up coaster. The layout is, again, very untypical of B&M, which then makes me really excited, not only just for this roller coaster, but for the future of B&M. It's showing me that they're willing to branch out, try new things. Unfortunately, Pipeline will be featuring vest restraints, so yeah, I guess some people do like them and some people don't. The negative side is they do inhibit the body, so they kind of restrict the airtime. The positives, they're rather comfortable, they feel nice, especially going through inversions and snappy transitions and whatnot, but yeah, it's plus negative, but we really don't know how it's going to feel or experience on this type of roller coaster. My final takeaway here is, well, I'm just basically excited to see a new coaster type by B&M. If you look over this ride manufacturer's history, they really haven't had a quote-unquote flop when it comes to their designs, other than sort of the stand-up coaster, but it was even popular for its time. Of course, now not many people like it, but I think this is a new try at that design. It's gonna be better. I'm sure it's gonna be more comfortable. I'm really hoping it's gonna be more comfortable, but yeah, it looks like it has a lot of promise. With the feature of the LSM launch, also including that airtime hill there, some quick, crazy, snappy turns to the ground, is really, to me, again, showing that B&M is willing to try new things. I really don't think this layout's going to be super exciting, but I think it's going to be a crowd pleaser, which is something that B&M is very good at doing. Will this be the best new roller coaster at SeaWorld Orlando or in Orlando? No, I don't think so. Mako is still such a great hypercoaster, but I guess depending on your preference, you might really enjoy this coaster. I'd almost want to say the equivalence to this roller coaster. I know the coaster designs are completely different, but it kind of reminds me of Manta and the way that coaster really interacts with the audience around it. And that's what this coaster is going to do. As I said, this is going to be a crowd pleaser, everybody's just going to want to come around and just watch this roller coaster. If B&M is able to make this roller coaster style truly comfortable, expect to see this roller coaster type stay around for the long haul. I mean, I can already picture this roller coaster going to some other parks. Six Flags New England is in desperate need of a launch roller coaster, and I think a new surf coaster might be right up their alley. To be honest, the only really negative I see about this roller coaster is the name. Pipeline, the surf coaster, I think it just kind of sounds corny. But if that's the only negative to this roller coaster, I think that's a good thing. I think this new coaster is going to be a well-rounded attraction. It's going to fit great here at SeaWorld Orlando. So what do you think of this new roller coaster, Pipeline the Surf Coaster? Let me know all about it down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by clicking that like button. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe. That way you continue to get more great content brought to you by Extreme Thrills.